What's going on, beautiful people? This is your man KRISHNAFIST with another video. Today I want to talk to you all about something that's been on my mind for a little while. This book, The Gene, by Siddhartha Mukherjee, which was published in 2016, is talking about the history of genetics. And someone that's considered the father of genetics, Gregor Mendel, had discovered that there was a specific unit of heredity that was responsible for different hybridization combinations that he had done in his pig experiments. And Gregor Mendel was very, very, very steadfast, and he was grounded in his faith. He knew that what he had found from the data of his experiments, different ratios and responsibilities in which you can predict different characteristics or phenotypic outcomes based off of the data that he had recorded from his experiments. He was grounded in his faith, and he knew for a fact that it was the truth. And he died and wasn't recognized until 3 decades after he had died, that what he found was the truth. A couple scientists, such as Hugo de Vries, who was reluctant to give him his props, had to admit that, okay, Gregor Mendel did find this, and at a point he had to give him his props because he had to cite papers. And within that, he had found Gregor Mendel, who was basically considered to be forgotten in science. And contemporarily, I don't think it's necessary that you might have to die to be discovered, but the most important thing is that you're doing the most profound work and being faithful to the truth that you know is within yourself and that you had discovered. A lot of the motivational speakers and trainers, they say that when you push your muscles to a certain limit, and then the moments after, when you continue to push, those are the moments of growth. Those are the opportunities for growth. Meaning, to me, what I took from that is you create your limits. You create the point at which you're gonna stop, and then you can recover from that, and then you can create another limit after that. That's why I say pretty often past the plateau. Meaning the plateau that you have, the limit that you have, you can push that. That's why they say the sky is the limit, because you can constantly push and push and push and push. And it's ultimately going to be infinite because you continue to push until your death. But that's much more worth than you just doing the same thing every day, trying to be like everybody, fit in this mold within the status quo, which is constantly changing, that people decide what the mold is. And now people are starting to wake up and actually accept the fact that we are all unique and embrace their certain gifts. Like, I just came home from Atlanta, and I was in Little 5 Points, and there's a large culture of artists and people that are just really trying to be self-sufficient, pursuing their crafts and pursuing art and music and different sorts of creative abilities. And what's beautiful about that is they embrace their uniqueness, and they figure out ways to provide for themselves and their families with their unique gifts. And a lot of them are extremely intelligent. I met a brother from Chicago, and he was in Atlanta pursuing music and art, and he was doing it in such a strategic way that he could provide for his family and do what he loves, because he had decided, this is the truth, this is what I was meant to do, and I'm going to pursue that. Meaning, he had been reading books, he had been studying successful people, he had basically learned the science of music, the science of art, and he had discovered that there's really no limit to it. You just have to create different combinations and different creative variations, which is what our body does. We create different proteins, we create different mechanisms to express different characteristics. That's why we have to constantly study ourselves to find what's different about us and what is our actual limit. Your genome can make pretty much any characteristic that you think of. You just have to discover it. I think that's just beautiful, because at a point you have to figure out what you're going to be successful at. You have to know, okay, maybe me going to work, my 9 to 5, doing the same thing every day, never pursuing the things that I love. You have to, at a point, you're going to know that that's not for you. You working for someone else is not going to be for you forever. Now, there's nothing wrong with working for a cause that is going to bring the future generations to come to be more self-sufficient and proficient than us. But you can't have a certain living while basically funding somebody else's dream. You can do that, but that's for a certain time. At some point, you're gonna have to do what fulfills you, or you're gonna be sad, you're gonna be depressed, and you're not gonna feel like, why don't I feel fulfilled in this life? And it's because you have to do what fulfills you. And a lot of us figure out that we want to serve people in a certain way using our creative abilities. We want to be noticed for our creative abilities, for our versatility within this world. Because this world constantly tries to mold us. Oh, go get a job somewhere and do that for the rest of your life. And they don't even factor in you being miserable. They don't factor in depression, anxiety, any of that, because they don't provide like real outlets for you to actually break that monotony, do what you love, and then go continue to provide for your family and for yourself. So this book had inspired that thought. He was steadfast in his faith. He was steadfast in what he believed. He knew that the gene was responsible for different phenotypic characteristics and variations. And that can even go in with the thought, how does my mind think of different combinations of creative things, like in terms of architecture, in terms of music, in terms of literature? There's no limit to literature. We use literature how we want. It serves us. So there are really no real limits unless you create those limits. And you have to be steadfast in the infinite ability of your mind. And that's the word that I have for you all today. And if you all enjoyed this video, go ahead, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button with the bell so you get notified on all the videos that I make. I'm going to be having much more content coming soon in terms of nutrition, fitness, health, and just some stories that I just want to share with you all. So go ahead, leave comments down in the section below, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.